Hey there traders, welcome back for episode 46 from the StockBandit.tv. I'm always glad that you've joined me, and I'm glad that you're here to watch this episode. All right, I hope your weekend's been good and that you're getting ready for another week of trading, because that opening bell's going to ring on Monday morning, and that is going to be the sound of opportunity. We've got to be ready once that bell rings. And so let's take a look at the big picture here. We'll take a look at the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 and the Dow, and just kind of get a good feel for the big picture, because of course that's where most individual stocks are going to take their cues. And therefore, once we know the big picture and kind of get an understanding of what may take place, then of course we can make an individual trading plan to suit our needs. And that's where my personal trading plan begins, is with a look at the major averages. So that's where we'll begin. So last week we saw one single down day on Thursday, and then we saw 4 up days to follow that. And that happened in, of course, all of the major averages, NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow. And we also cleared some important short-term resistance levels in the midst of that strength. And so we're also looking at one other thing. And by the way, let me just mention, if you're brand new here, be sure and select the full screen option on the video. That's going to give you the highest resolution, the best quality video. And so I wanted to mention that. But we did see inside days on Friday, along with reduced volume. So quiet volume and staying inside the previous day's trading range may suggest a little bit of short-term fatigue, which is understandable. We've come a very long way very quickly in just 4 days. And then, of course, if you look at where we've come since the March low, it's been a huge move. But if we do happen to continue higher, for the NASDAQ, I'm going to be watching up here. This January high at 1665, I think, is certainly worth noting. The S&P 500, we'll take a look here. Again, quiet volume on Friday. Inside day, we did clear a minor resistance level there with a higher high in the very short term. But this index still has some important resistance, and the next level that's going to be is up here at the 875 area. So keep an eye on that as well if we do see some continued strength. If we do see some weakness, of course, and this applies to each of the averages, I just would expect that we'll fall back into this short-term trading range that we've spent so much time in recently. So I would not expect a pullback to be a big one, but of course anything is certainly possible at all times. However, we do show strength on Monday or early this week. I think these are the next 2 levels to be watching up here at 875, which were of course from January and February. And then of course finally we'll wrap up with a look at the Dow, which also had an inside day on Friday. Again, this is just across the board, we've seen that quiet volume, but here for the Dow, we've seen quiet volume for a couple of weeks now, and it also has some resistance up here at the 8300 and 8400 areas. So if we do see some strength, then I think that'd be the next level to be kind of keeping an eye out for, is kind of right in here. But for now, looks like the buyers remain in charge for this market. They have been stepping in, buying the dips every time we see some kind of a minor pullback. And in fact, in each of the major averages, the most number of down days in a row that we've seen is 2. That's since this March low. So that just gives us some perspective on just how persistently strong this market has been, and just how eager those bulls are to put cash to work. So I think at some point we will get a meaningful pullback. No telling when that actually arrives, but when it does come, we're going to need to respect it. And I think that is when the true test is going to come along for this market, as we see whether or not those buyers are there to provide real lasting support and actually create a higher low on the daily chart, in comparison to the March low. And wherever that happens to be, I have no idea. But that's, I think, going to be the real test for this market. All right? So, as always, thank you for joining me. I will be back soon with more videos, but in the meantime, trade like a bandit.